Welcome to Abe's Front Porch Talk. Thank you for watching this video tonight. I didn't do a YouTube video last night. I should have, but I just never did get around to doing one. I thought about putting one of my podcast episodes up. Then I said no. I talked myself out of it, basically. I said I'd rather just come on into a video. And I want to talk to you guys about not watching, but listening to my podcast. And you can find me in the descriptions that I will put down below. But if you have Spotify or Castbox, Podchasers, Anchor, you can actually listen to the podcast. But you can type me in the Google search bar at Abe's Front Porch Talk, and they'll pull up many platforms that my podcast is on, so you may have one of them already. But anyways, I want you guys to listen to Living in the Days of the Rich Man and Lazarus. There's 3 parts to those, and when you are listening to those 3 parts, pay close attention to what I say, because in those episodes, I made a comment when I was talking about the government being the rich, basically. And it wasn't just the government being rich, it was a lot of people who are just rich in general that looks down on the poor, or those who just can't afford a lot of stuff. But the Living in the Days of the Rich Man and Lazarus, I was speaking on there about fighting for disability and people fighting for disability. And those who have walked in my shoes. It's been 10 years for me. That's too long. A year is long enough. People losing their homes, living under bridges because of them, because there's no help for them. Having to find somewhere to defend for themselves, basically. But in those 3 episodes of that, I made a comment, and I said, consider yourself warned. God is coming, and He will come at you. And I said, God sees what's going on, and He does not like it. And like I said, now I done this in September. This was all done in September when I first started doing podcasts. I hadn't even started doing the YouTube videos. The YouTube videos did not come till 2 months later. So late September is when I started. In September, that's when I done those. And they're probably about, I'm going to say the 3rd episode is part 1, Living in the Days of the Rich Man and Lazarus. Somewhere's right along in there about the 3rd episode. And you'll find all 3 of them. But, sorry, I saw headlights and I thought somebody was turning in my driveway. But, listen to them. And tell me what you guys think. I basically was warning about today in here. And it's just not today, but for future. This is a wake-up call, I believe, with this virus. This is a wake-up call and a final wake-up call for us all. Some people says it's a warning from God, but I don't believe it's a warning from God. I believe it's the wrath of God. He's no longer warning us. He's no longer playing any more games. The warnings are over with. And we have His word that's a warning for us. He let us get by for a long time without listening and doing whatever we wanted to do. But now He's no longer playing. The warnings were a long time ago. I don't even think God's playing with the people in the churches anymore either. All the hate, the judgment, the condemnation, all the greed that goes on with these TV preachers, and radio ministers that's got all this money but can't come to your bedside and say a prayer for you after you donate money to them? You need to stop that. Don't give them any more money. They've got all the money. They're living in mansions and driving brand new cars and got jet airplanes that they can fly all around the world and take vacations, and you're struggling? And you barely can afford a can of beans to eat? And there you are, putting your money towards them, and they can go out to these fine dining restaurants and they're not starving. They got all the food in the house. This is what I'm getting at. It's time things stop. Stop point blank. I did a podcast back in February called Rich Men Weep and Howl. Listen to Rich Men Weep and Howl as well. And I made another comment in there. Consider yourself warned. I read scriptures from the Bible about the rich men start running and weeping and howling now. I didn't know it was going to get a virus like this. I knew the virus was out in China at that time. But I didn't know it was coming here into America to be this bad. And you know, this was just when it basically first came out. This virus is just when it first came out. Sorry, I repeated myself. I know I did. I got distracted. And when it came out, that's when I done that episode of Rich Men Weep and Howl. We may go back in times of depression. We may see a big downfall. But in these podcasts, I said God is no longer playing with you. God doesn't want people to have to suffer when everybody else can have the best. If you will listen to these podcasts, you'll understand where I'm coming from about the warning of God. It's like I go back and I think about what was said during these podcasts, and it's like, look what's happened today. I didn't even know in September of 2019 that there was going to be a virus called coronavirus. All I knew was things were coming out of me, words were spilling out of me that I didn't even know I was even going to say. I even read scriptures. I quoted some scriptures from the Bible. I even told, in living in the days of the rich man and Lazarus, I even said, God says in scripture, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. And every time you deny somebody their rights to their disability, they have worked hard and paid in and met the quarters, and you're turning them down and accusing them to be liars. God knows who you are. And if you want your job to take you to hell, then that's on you. But you don't need to be making everybody else suffer because the way you believe through your own evilness and your own wickedness. You say, oh, I believe, I'm a man of faith, I'm a man of facts, and all of that. You're missing a lot of faith there. Apparently you don't. And you're missing a lot of facts somehow or another because you think you're bigger than God, but He's showing you now through this virus you're no bigger than He is. You need to watch out. Whoever you are, I don't care how rich you are, I don't care what title you have on you. There's been many, many kings and queens throughout generations since the beginning of time to suffer the wrath of God. He loves us all, but His wrath will come down upon us. Even me, even though I don't have nothing, if I'm out here doing people wrong and harming people and trying to run over people that I don't like, or just bullying people around because I can and stuff, then yeah, I'm going to have to face the wrath of God myself. I'm going to have to answer for everything I did. But luckily, I'm not that type of person. I know better. And there are things I do and say and I feel guilty about. There are things that I did this week, even over the weekend. Nothing bad, but it's just something I said. And I feel guilty and shame and wished I never said them. That's just who I am. Because I know I should not have said that. But I said it out of anger, or I just said it because I didn't care. And when I did, I felt guilty. I was convicted, and I knew what happened. And when you go under the Holy Ghost conviction, those of you who believes in that, or the conviction of God, you know what I'm talking about. But when you get convicted, it makes you feel worthless, and you know you done been chastised. But a lot of people overlooks it and keeps going on. I've been down that road myself, and I suffer the wrath of God in a lot of ways. But this is a time now. There's no more. I don't know why I'm saying all of this, because this is not what I was wanting to say. I do believe this virus is man-made, but God used man to make this virus somehow. Now, I don't know how it could be man-made, but, you know, you hear conspiracies where the government works in a secret lab and they are always doing some kind of stuff, and maybe something to do with wars and all of this for like a chemical, what's that word I'm trying to find? Something to do with the chemical warfare, I guess. And almost like a nuclear bomb type ordeal. Well, you know, either way, God still allowed it. And I do believe this is a time to change for all of us. All of us need to change. And I believe that we all need to start learning to love and accept, because it may get worse. Come 2021, there still may not be no cure. I'm not saying there isn't going to be one. I don't know. I'm just saying, what if there is not yet, and everybody's still having to stay quarantined, and no one can still go back to work yet? But don't panic either. Don't go out and start buying stuff off the shelves because you're panicking. You still can have your stores and still do what you're doing now. It's going to be hard for a lot of people that's not even working. And that's another thing I'm talking about. Listen to the Rich Men Weep and Howl. You will understand what's happening now from that episode back in February. Living in the days of the rich man and Lazarus, you will understand it's going on right now. And we got to change our attitudes, especially the rich. Just because you got plenty of money don't mean you're bigger than God, or He's going to bring you down. And, you know, I said in those episodes, consider yourself warned. Consider yourself warned. I don't know how many times I can say that through YouTube videos or podcasts, but it's here on us. Now all you can do is like, well, those were warnings back then. This is no longer a warning. This is serious business. Now we got to figure out something. Those of you who were working 40 hours a week, you're no longer able to go and work 40 hours a week. Most people's lost their jobs because of this virus. And now they don't know when they may be able to go back, and they don't know when they're going to get a paycheck. Now think about those who are sick and disabled trying to fight for their disability and keep getting turned down by the rich man. You see what I'm saying? Now you're walking in our shoes. Most people will lose their homes, probably. Most people will be forced out on the streets. And this is what's happening to those who are sick. And maybe you thought, oh, they're just faking, they're lazy, wanting to live off the government. I've heard all kinds of excuses. about other people who gets a check each month, if they really can work or can't work and stuff like that. I've had things said about me, good Lord. But now the shoe's on the other foot, but you're physically able to work. But how you think we feel that can't work, that suffers with chronic pain, or whatever the illness is that's caused health issues where we cannot go and work a 40-hour-week job? Some of this is normal stuff for us to stay in quarantine. Yeah, we were able to get out a little bit more than what we did, but to go party and to run up and down the road all the time, no, we were not. There were days I was stuck inside for 2 weeks at a time. Tomorrow, when I wake up tomorrow, my whole day could turn upside down. Right now, I feel good. Tomorrow, that could change. I might wake up tomorrow and not be able to move. And I could be down for 2 weeks like this. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling you the truth. 2 weeks. And then, after that is up, the 2 weeks up, and I start feeling better, coming back to myself, it takes another week to get yourself back into rehabilitation where you've lost all your energy. You have to recoup from your body working so much. And you just don't have the energy to run and go to the store and get you anything to eat or to drink. I take this also as God trying to show people way others feel. To wake up and see how other people really are feeling deep down inside that's been through this for years. This is a wake-up call for many, many people. It's a wake-up call for me too. It's a wake-up call for us all. But are we going to hear the wake-up call? Are we going to see that this is no more warnings from God? He's not playing with us. Only you guys can understand that believes in God. But think about those who you knew that couldn't get out, that was my age or younger, couldn't get out and work. Stuck inside a lot of times. And not just me, my age, but people older than me, elderlies, that's worked hard and can't get out anymore. We all know somebody that's 20 years older than us, or an elderly person who wishes, but we forget about them. We push them off into nursing homes and assisted livings and forget about them people. Because there's health care. God doesn't like stuff like that either. He told us to take care of our elders and respect the elders. And corporations have come in and said, well, if you can't work for us because you got to take care of a loved one, that's not our problem. That's your problem. There's health facilities that you can put your loved one in. I've never experienced that one myself, but I've heard stories from other people I've worked with before. And they're forced to put their mother or daddy that they want to live with them and take care of them. But they need that 24-hour care. See, there's a lot coming now. And we stick our families in these health facilities because of our jobs. Then not only that, or we just don't want to deal with them, put them in these nursing homes and forget they even exist. Nobody never goes. There's several people in the nursing homes now that's got family members, their mother and daddy, grandparents, and none of them goes and sees their relatives. That is sad, and that's wrong, and you know it's wrong. But you're out here running up and down the roads, enjoying your life and taking trips and doing whatever, and not even concerned what's going on at the nursing home, and the nursing home calls you and tells you what's going on with their family member. If there's been an incident or if they had to go to the hospital or something like that, and that's all you know, shame on you. This is all I got. Thank you for listening to Abe's Front Porch Talk. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And please share with your family and friends.